Welcome once again to the Sage. And as usual, it's always a pleasure. Thank you for being with us. You always make this journey special. In the last episode, we promised you a real treat. We promised you that we will bring on set two amazing women. Remarkable women. Women who demonstrate to a great extent the wonderful things it is possible indeed to achieve when it comes to entrepreneurship, young entrepreneurship in this country. Two ladies who have done it all, who have so much to share. And so, let the journey begin. I will start with one of them. The second lady will come a little later. It is with such a great deal of pleasure that I introduce and welcome Mrs. Ngozi Rowland Onuegwunwoke to the set. Let me be formal and do her justice by introducing her formally. Ngozi Sarah, I can see she in her formal bio, she adds Sarah. Ngozi Sarah Rowland Onuegwunwoke is a visionary entrepreneur and business coach with a strong background in agriculture and economics, and indeed has an MBA. As the CEO of Safi Event Managers and the CEO of SMEs Foods and Spices, she leads in event management and healthy food processing. She also serves as the Deputy Hub Lead for the Scaling Up Nutrition Business Network and is an African Food Change Maker Regional Ambassador, representing indeed at the regional level a worthy ambassador when it comes to African food change maker. Ngozi is also the founder of the Brandpreneur Mentorship Foundation, empowering women and youths through business and skill development. She's been recognized with multiple awards. She is passionate about women's economic empowerment, about entrepreneurship and capacity building across Africa's food and business sectors. This remarkable lady with us here in the studio is recognized not just in Africa and Nigeria, but indeed, I would say many people in other parts of the world also recognize her amazing abilities in producing high quality food and food supplements. While that is a formal introduction of Ngozi, at this point I say Ngozi because I come home. Ngozi Rowland Onuegwunwoke is a very, very special human being. Loved passionately by C4C for many reasons. Sometimes I say to myself, and I've said it in several public fora, that when the good Lord gives you a mission, He provides all the resources required for that mission. When He gave C4C the mission of supporting young entrepreneurs, He gave us material that would always encourage and spur C4C in that line. And what do I mean by this? Believe it or not, when we courageously embarked on our Global Entrepreneurship Fellowship Program, Ngozi was one of the first batch that we ever took in. In fact, She was a young, lovely, even quiet entrepreneur who, however, her fellow classmates recognized at that time hidden qualities and unanimously elected her class rep. But it is a foretelling of what she was to be to C4C and indeed to the world. She led and worked, encouraged her class in her gentle, quiet way. But she has continued till today to lead our fellowship program, to be a support to the many other classes and fellows that came after her. But perhaps most dear to us is the fact that she has continued to be an example of everything we hoped for in a C4C entrepreneur. Business acumen, hard work, leadership, innovation, resilience. But as a social entrepreneur, she embodies everything we talk about when we say an entrepreneur is a social entrepreneur. Because she is willing to network, she is willing to share her knowledge, share her contacts, be ready there to support other fellows coming after her. And you will hear, you will see, and we do know that many of our subsequent C4C fellows have benefited from Ngozi's kindness, generosity, leadership, and shining example of what it takes to remain there despite all challenges and still be successful as an entrepreneur. In fact, we say jokingly, but it is a reality. I say she is my firstborn child in the program. Ngozi, welcome to the set.
Thank you so much, Mom. Thank you. It's a great honor to be here again after a very long time. But I'm happy to be here. It's a pleasure. This is home for me, so I'm happy to be home.
Thank you. It is home.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry for you if you ever try to get away from that. It is home.
Yeah.
But let us not understate our appreciation of what you've been to C4C and continue to be. In everything we do in the fellowship program, you've been there, a rock, almost a part of the office. Nothing is too much. And let me share with our audience that last year we achieved a huge milestone, which is having, for the first time, a maiden reunion of our alumni. And of course, the responsibility fell on you
as the firstborn child
to bring them together to organize them. And I looked at you, and that gave me a new and deep respect for you, because they gave me a tough time.
Yeah, really tough time, really tough
Through
time.
it all, you remained calm. You answered the multiple texts, all the every suggestion you treated with respect and patience, and in the end, it made it happen. And so we continue to remain grateful to God for having you, and grateful to you for the many sacrifices you have made in being part of a pillar of C4C.
Thank you so much.
So welcome again on set.
Thank you. I'm excited to be
This
here.
is not the first time.
No, of course.
Yes.
Not. And it won't be the last.
It will be last. God forbid. It cannot be the last.
Be the last.
Yeah. So let me now turn and hand over the ball to you. The ball is in your court, as they say, and say, how did you get here? What made you become an entrepreneur? What has been that journey?
From the very beginning, of course, when you finish your NYSC, the next thing in mind is to go and look for a white-collar job. You know, we searched, I worked in some places, but I wasn't getting fulfillment. And I have a passion for cooking. That was my passion, you know. I get bored with food easily, so I want to experiment. You come visit me, I want to give you various options. I'm not like, okay, it has to be rice, there should be probably, you know, different, you know, options. And I just kept doing it as a passion. And one day, my godfather came to the house and he said, because before he comes, he tell me, oh, I'm coming, you know, I need to prepare something for me, you know. So of course, most times when he comes, I have like 3 different kind of swallow, 5 different kind of soup. So he tastes everything. So after eating that particular day, I won't forget, he turned and looked at me. He said, you know, you can make money from these things that you do. I was like, okay, you know, I just got married. I said, okay, tell your son now. So that's probably he will let me, you know, convert it to business and all that. And he gave me my first job as a caterer. And, you know, I started from there. But in the course of the catering, a lot of things started happening. I lost a lot of friends to cancer. So for me, it was a wake-up call. Like, there was something, you know, cancer then used to be like a white man disease or something that was so far-fetched. It wasn't really like a Nigerian African thing, you know. So I started my own research into it, like, okay, what are we doing that is really encouraging these diseases from cancer, hypertension. You see a young child, they're telling she's diabetic and stuff like that. So I had a lot of, you know, situations around me, and I started doing my research. And I saw that somehow we contributed to it, either through our lifestyle, what we ate or stuff like that. And I looked at myself, I think, Ngozi, so how do you create that change? What are you going to do differently to contribute to, you know, reducing or eliminating those non-communicable diseases? And I said, well, I started catering. I started the MSG free catering. I think I was one of the first caterers in Abuja to start the MSG free catering. That's catering without your conventional seasoning cubes. And funny enough, the idea was a great deal for me because I started having customers. I started doing, so some of my customers didn't even know that was what I used to do until the first, I think it was C4C, yes, when they came to interview me and in some of my events, and then they say, oh, do you know this food you're eating doesn't have seasoning cube? And they're like, hey, are you sure? You know, so it was a wake-up call for them. And then at a point I told myself, I can't cook for everybody because I'm a caterer, I'm limited based on location. So I can't cook for everybody, but I can package these seasonings and send it far and wide. Mm-hmm. And so that was how the idea of Same Foods and Spices came into being. And I started the business with 50,000. Yeah, 50,000. That was how I started the business. You know, today I'll buy my pouch, tomorrow I do my labels. I just started doing things gradually while learning. I believe so much in mentorship, while going through some mentorship with those who have been there. And I launched. And 2 weeks later, boom, I had an accident. An accident that almost took my life. In fact, it was, I really don't even know how to say. It was like, you know, a downtime for me. I just invested all I had in a business. I just started and this happened. And we're not even talking about business, we're talking about me being alive. In fact, the doctor told me, he looked at me, he said, Madam, for you to be alive, you have a God.
How?
Because I never believed you could make it past 24 hours. I had about 16 stitches on my head. You know, my brain, my skull, everything was out there. But God saved me and gave me a second chance. And I decided to see the business as a ministry of saving lives. So for me, I tell you, Same Food and Spices is about giving life. Yes, we are going to make money in the process, but my integrity is on play. Everything about it has to be on point. And then after, like, during the recovery period, a friend of mine sent me a link. They shared it in church about a grant something. I hate to fill forms naturally. I hate anything that has to do with filling forms. So she sent me the link. I said, I used to see grants as things that, are they real? It's something, maybe it's not meant for me. Like, I will just sit down, I'll just get free money or free support. Is it real? How possible is this? So I opened the form. I started saying 200 words, in 150 words as this one. I think I went in and out more like 10 times that day, and that day was the deadline. So finally, I just nibbled some things down, and I got a call like a day or two later that you have been selected. I say, they've come. They've come. This must be 419. They've come. Which guy selected? Where? How? So they told me a venue for interview. I was like, okay. I took samples of my product. I went there. I was interviewed. I think there were like 8 panel or so. This one is showing questions. That one is showing questions. I was like, okay, this is what I have to offer. This is what I'm doing, and this is why I'm doing it. Then it was just 4 spices, and boom, I got a message. You're selected, the top 15 for. I say, this thing is happening. It's real. This one is not. It's not 419 moves. So C4C for me was a divine intervention. I keep using that word divine because it came at when I needed it. And even though I thought I had idea about, of course I've done some businesses that have failed. But what I try to encourage people is failure in business it shows that there's something you've learned. Failure just means there is something you're not doing right. Go back to the drawing board and do it again. So for every business I have run, I have learned one thing or the other from those failures or why those businesses failed. So when I came to C4C, they said they were doing capacity workshop. From day one, I said, you don't know anything. No, you need to unlearn to relearn, So I brought my heart out, and the capacity building workshop was amazing. I had amazing facilitators, support team, and all that, And then I think one of the things that made them select me was, for most of the businesses there, I have done those businesses and I have failed. So I had anybody that is doing I had something to say. Like, okay, this is what I did and it made me fail. So what are you doing? If such thing comes up in your own watch, what do you do to mitigate or to eliminate such threats? So they were like, I think you have idea in one business or the other and all that. And so when they called for the class rep selection, I was unanimously selected. But for me, C4C taught me business.
Hold that. C4C taught me business. I want you to elaborate on that. But let me also say that what you just said now is a demonstration of what we said has made you one of our pillars. That ability, you've tried, you've never given up when you fail, but you've learned. But you're also willing to share your lessons learned, which is a wonderful trait in a human being.
C4C taught me business. They taught me how to keep records. They taught me how to keep financial records, every inflow, outflow. They taught me social enterprise. First, there are things you do, you don't even know there's a name for it. So it was then I started grasping the meaning and how I can open my mind, even to more social entrepreneurship. And because C4C held my hands, I felt I could do that for those who are coming up, to also make it easier, because they made my business journey easier. So I felt like, okay, I can give back. The way they held my hands, I can also hold other people's hands so that the road is smoother for them, either in terms of business or in terms of food processing, something I do, or based on experience and all that. And that was how the journey started for me. And in fact, it just grew from there, because from there I started believing in grants. I started applying for other grants, and based on the business plan that's been taught, the pitch deck, You know, it shaped me, it formed me. So it gave me that unique selling point in the sense that it helped reshape my business. So even the way I present my business to people changed. You know, I started engaging more in social media. 18% of my market comes from social media. You know, so things like that started. I was like, okay, I'm trying these things and it's working. And trust me, family most times they are the last to come on board. You know, in my own case, I had to do everything on my own to prove a point. Because the husbandman is saying, oh, I've invested this, I've not seen results. So I had to prove a point to him that this is something I'm passionate about. I have gotten some structural training, some business training. I've built a structure for my business. So I had to prove a point to him. And then COVID came. So during the COVID, it was our best selling period. Because that was where we started the distributorship. In fact, we were every day I sent out nothing less than 1,500 packs. So he was there, he was at home because of COVID. So he was seeing like, this business is not a small business, you know, it's growing, you know. And I started hearing things like, you know, I think I need to invest in this business. I said, you don't need to invest. I started it myself, I'm growing it, you know. So the knowledge I gained from C4C has been a foundation. And it has made me come out with boldness about what I do. It has made me network with other people. And when I'm talking to you, I'm talking sense. You see that this one knows her onions. She's not just coming, she's not just starting somewhere without...
I want you to hold it there.
Okay.
Because unfortunately, because of time, we end this episode. But I want you, in the next episode, we will go further with you. And you will concretely show our audience what the many, many ladders you have climbed because of this foundation that you have so beautifully described. Because for us in C4C, we're very proud of it. It's not that we have a lot of resources, and it's not that we do everything in the world. What we strive to do is to give you that foundation you have described. And so to our viewers, I'm going to say, don't you miss the next episode, because Ngozi is going to go right ahead and tell you where she is today. Trust me, a lot of water has gone under the bridge. A bridge which started how long ago? 7 years ago?
Yes, 28 years.
Join us next week. Ngozi will continue her story. We thank you for having been with us.